Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 FM. I'm Paul Kretschmer. The topic on today and tomorrow's broadcast is the divorce of parents when a young child is involved. Here's my guest on today's WIHS Journal entitled, I'm Still Here.
My name is Karen Kay. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I've been in private practice for 40 years. My daughter and I have written a book. Her name is Hera Walkholder. And we wrote about our experience initially as we were going through some pain about her father coming for custody of her. And I promised myself that if I was able to keep her, that I or we would write a book. So that book is called My Parents Are Getting a Divorce. I Wonder What Will Happen to Me. And it's a workbook that gives children a voice of not only asking questions, but also in speaking up about how they feel, which is very important because as a therapist, I see that they're like little mushrooms sitting, watching everything go on. And lots of times people are so involved with the stress and the legal issues that they forget these kids are wondering what's going to happen to their lives.
The impression I've had over the course of time is that many times children get caught in the middle as the parents carry out their battles using the child as the intermediary, passing messages. No, the next time you see your dad, say this to him, or he'll say, the next time you see your mom, say this to her, or things of that nature.
Yes. They don't know the fallout that comes with that. They're thinking of it only as a memo, and what they don't realize is underneath it all, the child is getting pulled apart and needing to choose one of the parents over the other, and it's so emotional because a lot of times people just decide, just like they just decide to get married, they just decide to get divorced, so then all of the pain of the marriage ending goes into the fight of the divorce where everybody is pretty crazy, and sometimes lawyers, to get what they want, help it get real crazy, forgetting about the kids. So we really want lawyers to be informed. We want mediators to be informed. We want school guidance counselors and the like to really be involved in getting inside these children's heads. And I do ask people to read the introduction and the book prior to working with the child. That would be a professional, and that would be also a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Because their feelings should not encumber the child, and people forget that. They're so busy in the fight and in trying to win, they're looking at the long-term effects of what these children are going to go through, not just then, but later on in life.
In your opinion, based on what you've seen in practice, are all divorces in a situation like that where there's a child involved, are they always acrimonious, or are there situations where the adults are adult enough to see that things are not working out for them, and so they can step back and say, things aren't working out, and it would be better if we drew this portion of our life to an end. But in the meantime, we both love our child, or we both love our children, and so we may even go so far as to say to the child, if they're old enough to comprehend properly, this is something between your mom and dad, but we both love you, and we would rather that you didn't take sides so that we can all continue to be together, to care about each other without making it into a battlefield, I guess is one way of putting it.
Rarely does that happen, and that would actually be confusing to a child, too. So if my parents are getting along so well, why aren't they staying together? Mm-hmm. And kids have a way of taking on the responsibility of the divorce, mm-hmm. So I would say that would be very rare.
Very rare.
What I see more often is one parent is very aware and the other is not.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that also creates the battle. I do ask my clients that are divorcing to please come to me and create a parenting plan. And often in the parenting plan, it breaks down to whatever was wrong with the marriage.
Aha. Surprise,
it
surprise.
Keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's even with a third party, myself, neutrally sitting with them, and I'm sure mediators and lawyers would probably say the same thing.
Here in Connecticut, where I'm at, the court requires people who are divorcing, who have children in the mix, to undergo a day-long class, I guess you could call it, morning and afternoon.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Mandatory.
A lot of states have that.
Is that commonplace, or are there still quite a few states that have not taken that step yet?
I really can't answer that. I think probably a lawyer would know that better.
Can, in your opinion, can a session that only lasts a day like that for X number of weeks, can that make a significant difference in how things may work out from that point on?
Those one-day courses are great initially to make people think, but I think that people going to someone like myself, a therapist that has been through it and has studied it, is a much better place for me to describe to them what their children are going through, and for them to be sensitive to their emotions, which I think would make the bigger difference. But very few people do that.
Yeah. Some people would claim it's a financial burden at a time when they're already facing financial burdens on other levels, and adding one more thing. I guess what they see is the short term, I can't afford it, rather than the longer term, which is this is going to work out for everyone's benefit more so. Despite the temporary problem, it's going to be better over the long term if I do this thing.
Well, and especially when there's less fighting, I think the lawyers and the mediators can do a better job too, because I see there's a lot of competition and one-upmanship, and it's all about the parents' needs instead of the children's needs, and nobody asks them, because the court also won't allow you to ask them when there's a certain age. Unless they're, I believe it's 14 or 15 years old. So these little children, my book starts at 4 and goes to 12. Their worlds are rocked upside down, and they have no idea where they're going to live, who they're going to see, when they're going to see them, and their little packages being passed back and forth. In my case, I'm now sending my 2-year-old with her things to a complete stranger's house because my ex-husband got remarried 3 months after the divorce.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the adding other people like new spouses or new boyfriends or girlfriends to the mix on top of all.
Circus.
Yeah. That's kind of what I expected you to say, that it would be
very damaging.
On today's WIHS Journal, you heard Karen Kay talking about the issue of divorce when children are involved. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049. That's 860-346-1049. Karen Kay will be back tomorrow. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Paul Kretschmer on the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from WIHS, Middletown.